Hi, Brad from bradsautoglass.com and sliding rear window back glass slider on eBay. This video is doing a replacement, not a patch, replacement of a 2016 up Toyota Tacoma power sliding rear window. So this is the power version. The manual version is different. See other videos. So I have the window in the shop, and I've got it in a cab that I've cut off at the junkyard so that I can work on this and shoot these videos. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to clean and prepare this opening, and then we're going to switch to another venue in the video, and I'll show how to do that, and then we'll come back. Alright, so I picked the hottest day of the year. I found that by using a heat gun that I could soften the plastic up, and it would really assist in removing the glass from the frame. But it takes two people. You've got to have somebody controlling the heat, and you've got to have somebody controlling the knife. And one thing you want to know about a heat gun when you're using it is you can get it too hot and you can burn the paint, and you can tell when the plastic's getting too hot because it'll start to get a shine to it. So you just want to heat it enough to release it. And if you look here, I'm going to have the camera girl come in and get a close-up. I've already cleared all of this off, and it's not too bad with heat and out here in the sun. So I want to just show you a few things. I'm using a oscillating tool. Some people know it as a multi-master. And I'm using this blade, and you can see it's got little serrated teeth on it. I want you to grind those teeth off, and then you're going to round it so that the end looks like that. And we don't want it a whole lot sharper than a butter knife, and you want to grind it from the, see how this is lipped here? We want to do the grinding here so that we put an edge on it. And the reason I'm doing that is we're putting the edge here so as we're going along, the flat of the blade is following the glass, not wanting to dip down into and cut the rubber. That's how you get it to follow the glass and not dip into the rubber. And you got to be really careful and pay attention when you're running this tool. And one of the things you'll notice as you're going along, you can actually see the glass break up, so you can kind of get an idea of your depth. I'll put this here and you can see how much relief there is here. You can get an idea of your depth. And the reason I'm going into all this is because I made some mistakes and have some spots where I wished I hadn't done that, and I want you to be able to have a successful install. So knowing that. Now the other thing you have to do is you have to take a sharp utility blade, and along the edge of the glass and the rubber, not cutting too deep, you have to free the glass from the rubber. And I'm going to cut this right now, and then I'll start removing this and show you what I did. So I'm going right along the edge of this broken glass, and I'm tilting the blade into the window. So as I tilt into the window, you can see it pushing it away. And this frees the rubber up. Now you don't want to cut too deep or you'll cut the gasket off. And every once in a while you'll catch the edge of the glass and you got to go around that. Now if you cut into the rubber and you cut it off, if you just do a small spot, you can primer it and put a little bit of the urethane on it, and it will bond it. So this window is not bolted in. You can see I have not cut the rubber off. And I'm using my fingers to kind of a depth gauge and going along. Alright, we're going to take a pause here. I'll finish cutting this and we'll come back. Okay, a couple of things that I thought about was I wanted you to see the tool more closely. And it's down, this tip goes down. And the edge that we're sharpening is here. So that's where we're sharpening, and we're leaving the flat side here so that when we stick it into the glass, the flat side is up. So I wanted that to be clear. And something that I thought of is taking a black marker, and you can take and put a line on the tool, and that'll help you follow the depth. See how that black line's right on there? And then another thing that you should do is on the knife is put a black mark, so that when you're cutting along this edge here, that you're going just to the bottom of that black mark and you're not cutting anything off. So just a couple of thoughts that I had after reviewing the video. Now what I want to show you is I'm going to have my camera girl come around and get another angle here. Then you can watch, and if you watch in the video you'll be able to see I'm going to cut right up to, and I can see the depth by what's happening to the glass and the way it's breaking. And the way that it's breaking. Now one thing I'm doing as I go along is I'm tilting the blade up and away from the plastic the whole time, so you'll see me kind of doing that. And that's what I'm doing because I don't want to dive down and cut into the plastic and cause this. These are called reeds. We don't want reeds. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to clear some of this back. You can see how that's clearing out of there. And then that little edge right there, I can come back with the knife and I can trim and clean that up. And you can see how nicely that cleaned out of there. And then you can actually take a knife like this, and if you put a little more edge on it, especially in this much heat, you can take and you can run right along this glass and you can cut this out. This is just another option for you. See how that comes off. And then if it gets to be a little more struggle than you want, you can come back with the power tool. You can see how that cleaned out. Now the blade from friction starts to get a little heat going, which also helps. You can see that's coming off. I've got this edge right here with the broken glass. You just lightly trim it with the knife. And that's how you prep this. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and finish off camera and I'll get this all cleaned up. And then one other thing I wanted to show you was the seal. And with the seal you can just take and cut this off. There's a two-sided piece of, it's 3M two-sided adhesive, sticky tape. If you're real careful here, don't cut this thing and break it. And then when you get all this glass cleaned off of this, what you're going to do is you're going to hit this with the primer and just a little tiny thin bead of urethane. Just lay it on there real thin, and then you can use that to tack it back onto the glass and it'll stay. The urethane is primerless to the glass, so it will stick, but you need primer on this piece. You can try to clean this adhesive off. You could also use weather strip adhesive on here or put two-sided tape on there again, whatever you're comfortable with. But I will finish this up and I'll move back inside and then I'll show the install. Alright, so I've taken you through the process of removing the broken glass. Now, as I warned in the video, being careful with the tool was very important because, as you can see here, I have cut the gasket and done a little damage, but we can fix this. And then you can see that this area is somewhat rough, and I've got a knife here. Here we go. So we want to go along and prep this surface, and you can see there's little spots here where there's pieces of material that are loose. You want to carve those away. I call them reeds, and what will happen is it'll channel water, especially when you have one like this. Now I'm going to leave this big one and this big one in place, and I'm going to prime and get urethane in there and seal those up. But there's just some little spots that you're going to want to clean and shave this stuff off and just get this prepped and ready. So once you have that done, oh, one thing too I wanted to show is on this piece here that seals the movable to the fixed, they've got some extra plastic and stuff in here. I just cut that off and then trim this all out real nice and clean that up. And then one thing that you can do is you'll notice on the other glass where the seal sets, there's a painted band on there from the factory. And I've taken the time to tape this window off, and I'm going to put a band on there. And you need to purchase in our store, in our eBay and our Autoglass, Brad'sAutoglass.com store, we sell the urethane with the primer, and you need to purchase this primer. And what you want to do is just shake this vigorously, and then take and push it down, being careful not to have it squirt into your hand, and you can hear it when it opens up. You tip it up and you squeeze it. You can see the pad turn black. As soon as it turns black, we're going to wipe this on in one direction. We want to get this everywhere that we want adhesion. And I want to do this too. Make sure you get some on this strip here because we're going to adhere this to the window and come up. Now, one of the things you want to be careful of is this material. You want to apply it in one direction like I am. And you want to keep squeezing the head and getting the product to come out. And you'll go all the way around. Now, I'm not going to take the time to do this and finish it up because this is a demonstration. But you want to get under here and put some primer underneath these reeds so we can squirt a little urethane under there and get it to seal up. And then when you apply this material, try and apply it in one direction. Now this part where I've taped it off, I'm going to apply a coat, and then you can dry it off real quick. You can apply a second coat. And now we've got primer on everything. We do not need to primer the glass. The urethane is primerless to glass. And you can see here that I've put that black band on there. Now I'm going to test fit this real quick and make sure we got everything good. And you can see it fits in here really nice. So now we're ready to apply urethane, and then we're going to apply the blue painter's tape to hold it in place while it dries. Alright, so quick review. We went through and we've test fitted our glass. We've cleaned this channel all out. We've primed the channel. We've primed the seal between the movable and the fixed piece. Now, one thing to pay attention to is if you're doing the driver's side, you only need to put urethane on this and then set the glass in, and this will be held up by the sliding window because the sliding window is going to be here in this position. If you're on the passenger side, you're going to have to take and stick this up in place and then put some blue tape on it to hold it in place. But I've got everything ready, got everything prepped, we've test fitted, I've painted a band on there. I've heated my urethane to 140 degrees, and I'm going to lay a bead on here. And I'm going to start out and show you how I want you to do the centerpiece. I'm going to start up in here right up high. And then we're just going to string that bead out real thin because we just need a little tiny bit. And you can see that I'm having some trouble. And I'll come back and straighten that up. Filling in any gaps here and coming all the way down. And then I'm going to come back up using my tip and put that little bead back on there. This is good that this is happening so you can see what actually happens here. Alright, so that bead is continuous. And then I'm going to run a bead right up to that one and in about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. And this is going to squish out real flat. We don't want a lot in here. And then you need to fill these spots in like I'm doing. And then remember the reeds. Stay to this outside edge. Right down the middle in this thin area. Now down here there's another hole, and remember I told you we had the problem, and we've primed that. And we're going to squirt a little bit of urethane back behind here so it picks up that rubber. And then squeeze it in. And fill this hole. And then lay a little bigger piece coming across here. And then I'm just going to... Alright, so the spot weld on my caulk gun broke, which caused a problem. But I've given you the premise of what we're doing and putting the urethane in here. And then we're just going to set this top corner in the urethane and walk this window around. And remember, I got that extra urethane down here in this corner to hold this molding. So you really have to, and you can smack this with your hand, you really got to put some pressure on. Really want it to get in there. You want that glue to squeeze out so it seals everything. And then I'm going to do this by hand, but this would already be in place with the window. And then what you would do is you would hold your hand under the window and you'd press on the glass, pushing this together so that seal's stuck in place, and then you're done. So you'd want to take blue painter's tape and come up across the corner here and pull this down real tight and put on at least 2 or 3, strengthen that up. And then I would also run a piece right across the top like that, and a piece across the bottom. And then we should also run some tape around this corner. And I always double it up. Let all this set overnight. When it cures, you can come out and pull this tape off. If you have any urethane that squeezes out around the edge of the glass, leave it for about 2 to 3 hours. It'll tack off and you can come out and you can just kind of peel it away. Clean because it's not fully cured, so it hasn't fully made contact with it. And just check and make sure your slider's okay and there's no urethane making contact with the glass. And I believe that concludes this replacement panel on the 2016 Up Toyota Tacoma Power Sliding Rear Window. You can go to bradsautoglass.com and purchase this part. Thank you for watching. I'm Brad.